Well, I never thought I'd make it this far. Hey everybody, welcome to, Nah, I'm wearing a beanie because it's actually like no longer hot out, which is the warrant that Arizonans need to deck themselves out in full winter gear. Anyway, a little while ago, I decided to do a little satire on the confusing nature of the place and character names in Avatar: The Last Airbender by creating a language intended to be spoken by the characters in that world. I took the sounds and the sound clusters from all of the in-world words mentioned in the show and what little grammatical evidence could be found. I then took a mishmash of grammatical traits from the languages spoken by the cultures that the creators of the show said each of the four nations were based on. The result was a certified abomination, or at least I thought so. Some people didn't seem to get the appeal of Agma Schwa on this moment right here, but that's okay, that's okay. I casually said in the description that if the video got more than 690 likes, I would do more with this project. My algorithm hadn't really been doing so well lately, on account of me being too busy moving back to the United States from Basque Country, so I wasn't really expecting that to happen. But within a day, the video passed that number of likes, like, significantly, so here I am. If you haven't watched that video yet, you'll probably be utterly baffled by the starting point of this video, so I'll include a link to the first video in the cards in the description, so be sure to subscribe if you like my stuff, by the way. I'm like 1,500 away from reaching the 20,000 subscriber mark, and that would be like a fantastic Christmas present if it happened to happen before the end of the year. It's a bit of a stretch, but it would be cool. It would be cool. Anyway, let's get to some of the most burning questions you probably have about the Avatar's native tongue. Get it? Part 1. Fate is predetermined. You may be wondering, how was Iroh, or Iroh, the wise old man? Did Azulon name him that as a child? He sees this little baby pop out and he's like, ah yes, the wise old man. Or how did Sokka's boomerang warrior, right? How did his parents know that his signature weapon will be a boomerang when he grow up? Well, I guess that one might not be too weird, like the Southern Water Tribe has like a warrior culture, and from the context clues it seems pretty normal for him to have a boomerang. But anyway, Aang, meaning harmony, also could be a pretty normal given name, that's like justifiable. These examples could just be common given names that happen to line up suspiciously well with their life outcomes. I can see why some people thought that this was, like, say, a bit lazy, but I'll have you know though that half the words you saw in the translation text at the end of the last video were components of a much more egregious set of examples of on-the-nose character name meanings, which essentially prove that fate is predetermined in this world. Some examples include, of course, Iroh, meaning the wise old man, Zuko, meaning the fire prince, Sokka, meaning boomerang warrior, Aang, meaning harmony, Katara, meaning the water warrior girl, Bumi, meaning earth muscle, Gyatso, meaning air must connect, Zhao, meaning prideful, Ozai, meaning phoenix king, Azula, meaning kill fire war, Tui, meaning ocean, La, meaning tide, Yue, meaning moon, that one actually lines up with Chinese in real life, Jun, meaning attack, Suki, meaning much dancing, Heibai, meaning change ecosystem, Toph, meaning strong, Beifong, meaning rich family, Shirshu, meaning discover great, Chin, as in Chin the Conqueror, meaning conquer, Kuruk, meaning before destiny, Mei, meaning dark, Tai Li, meaning spinning crime, Wan Shi Tong, meaning most smart bird, Patik, meaning build life, Oma Shu, meaning oh savior great. That one's a little weird, but I had to get some stuff to fit in when I was making other words and phrases and stuff. Lao Gai, as in Lake Lao Gai, meaning forbid protest, Ba Sing Se, obviously, meaning not penetrable city, and so on and so forth. That's not even the full list. So why did I do this? I don't know, for the funny, the phnoi. Part 2, particles. This is recording, right? It is indeed recording. Now, I didn't talk too much about the details of the syntax and other grammatical features of the language. First, I should go into a bit more detail about how the Inuktitut-inspired subject and object verb conjugation particles and Chinese-inspired tense markers that follow nearly every complete sentence in this language work. So you briefly saw the table I was showing off in the first complete sentences in the language, but I never really explained it. Essentially, a verb phrase goes as follows. There's the verb, then there's a subject marker accounting for person and number, an object marker accounting for person and number, and then the tense marker. The table for the subject and object markers looks like this, with the Chinese characters for the subject particle on the left side and the characters for the object particles listed on top. As usual, some of these Chinese characters are, I guess, reasonable usages, but some must be just simply disgusting for Chinese speakers to look at because I ran out of valid options to use very quickly into creating all these grammatical symbols and such. For example, the first person singular subject particle shug is written with this character, which does indeed mean I or me in Chinese. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the first person singular object particle oog. It's written with this character, which means head, as in like a leader or manager or a chief or an elder, right? So this pattern of horror will continue for all of the others, where it's like there's like some subtle justification where they're just straight up not like the same meaning as what they actually mean in the Avatar language. The second person singular subject, nas, is written with this character, which does mean you. The second person plural subject, nice, is tragically written with this character, famously the formal you or nin in Chinese. The worst offender is probably the third person plurals. The third person plural subject and object are both pronounced fwag. However, they are not written with the same character. The subject fwag is written with this character, which means group or team or organization as far as I know. The object fwag, on the other hand, is written with this character, which is literally just the plural pronoun marker in Mandarin, like that you add on to like wo to make it woman, stuff like that. It's bad. It's real bad. The same applies for the tense particles as well. This is what the table looks like for the tense particles. We have past, present, and future on one end, and then continuous, gnomic, and perfect on the other, as for our axes, right? The words I chose for this were pretty cursed in that I chose to make them reminiscent of English time words. Just a little bit of extra flavor to the fundamental, I guess, Englishiness of the project, right? When for past continuous, doing for present continuous, done for past perfect, etc. I gave it a little bit of restraint by having there be no like gnomic past or gnomic future, just to force a little creativity if a situation ever comes up where the states in the past or future need to be spoken of. Like, the choice of characters is just as bad with the subject and object particles, though. For the past perfect, don, I chose to use this character, which is indeed the completed action marker in Mandarin. Le. A little worse is the present continuous dwing, right, which is written with this character. The second half of the shanzai present continuous adverb in Mandarin is real bad. Also, my Mandarin pronunciation is probably real bad. Again, it's been 5 years since I took one semester of Mandarin Chinese at ASU, so keep that in mind. It was a good class, but it's been 5 years. Sorry. Anyway, then there is dong, the present perfect marker. It is written with this character, which means a complete or accomplished action. The present gnomic marker, du, uses this character, which is the Chinese character of the verb to be. If y'all thought any of my choices were random, unfortunately for me, you'd be wrong. I spent a lot of time making things this brand of horrible. Then, one of the weirder things about the grammar is that not only does it have those subject and object particles in verb phrases, but it also has topic markers. And not only does it have topic markers, but the topic markers are ergative absolutive in nature. This comes into direct conflict with the subject-object nature of the particles in the verb phrase. This creates a sort of unique situation. Here's the table for it. Here we have the topic, the subject, the pronomial, and the non-subject. These are split either into ergative or absolutive with one additional vocative o. So Aang can say Flamio Hotman in his native tongue, of course. I tried making the topic marking system work the same way as Japanese, but at the same time, that's probably the most confusing aspect of Japanese to me, so if I made a mistake, then just pretend it's a creative liberty and not actually a mistake, okay? Thanks. Anyway, let's focus on these subject markers first for simplicity's sake. If a sentence is intransitive, the subject gets the absolutive subject marker. In the same clause after the verb, the person and number of that subject is specified in the verb's subject particle. To distinguish these two concepts, terminology-wise, I've been calling the topic markers markers and the markers or things following the verbs particles instead. If that's already been made clear, then good, but just remember that going forward. So anyway, if the sentence is transitive and has a clear subject and direct object, then the subject takes on the ergative subject marker a, and the direct object takes on either the absolutive non-subject marker I, or is represented wholly by the absolutive pronomial marker is. The non-subject markers are, as the name suggests, markers used for ergative or absolutive nouns that are not the subject of the sentence. So how can an ergative noun not be the subject and take on the ergative non-subject marker? He, you may ask? Well, I don't think there were any examples in last video's sample text, but essentially using it instead of the subject or topic marker makes a clause passive, while the default assumption is the active voice in other transitive circumstances. The same actually goes for an intransitive sentence. If you use exclusively the absolutive non-subject marker on the only noun in an intransitive clause, it'll change the sentence into a passive construction. Here's a quick example from the show. Buzai ha iar fig dong. The Earth Kingdom has fallen. On Google Translate, this translates back to the kingdom of the earth is made of other things. Just beautiful, poetic. The ergative pronomial marker an and the absolutive pronomial marker is are used when the subject and object are already known. Both can refer to anything that's already been mentioned. The person and number of these is confirmed at the end of the clause when the subject and object particles clarify. Much of the time, to maintain the rhythm of the sentence and the general no word left alone rule, the pronomial marker may be followed with a subject or non-subject marker. For example,
Kupoinama anasui ya fig fugban wing.
And don't forget those topics, by the way. So, if a new topic is being brought up and it is intended to be emphasized and differentiated from the previous subject in the conversation, the topic markers are then used. The absolutive topic marker is dis, and the ergative topic marker is da. The origins of those, of course, being this and the. I guess just because funny. I don't know. For example,
Ranham aha dis hu ang tik fuegwen.
Now all this is well and good, and it creates some ambiguous situations that I actually kind of ended up liking from a creative perspective. But one major question remains with the way nouns function, and that is the question about indirect objects. It's not too weird. Basically, there's just a bunch of prepositions that are typically bracketed in with noun phrases. Since there are only two noun case markers, indirect objects are typically marked with absolutive markers as well, especially the non-subject marker. For example, shin maki, right? Through the mountain. In this example from the Secret Tunnel song, shin means through, mak is mountain, and I is the absolutive non-subject marker. Using this logic, you could consider the indirect object noun phrase for going through something as shin blank I, a sort of perlative construction. The same can be said about other prepositional phrases, with prepositions such as quan for from, in for into or towards, af, which is the genitive or the possessive marker, for for for, and others. Notice that some of these are pronounced very similarly to what they mean in English, specifically to demonstrate what a monstrosity this language is. Call it lazy if you want, but stupid little quirks like this are totally intentional. This is all part of the plan. Part 3, syntax. I admittedly didn't do too much with the syntax of this language by the time I released the initial video. But a few of the things I incorporated last minute with, at best, tangential relations to the inspiration languages have some pretty interesting grammatical implications now that I've doubled down on them. For example, adverbial phrases. Adverbial phrases appear quite a bit in this language, and they carry a lot of weight adding information to sentences. Most of the time, these appear before the contents of a clause begins, though thanks to the noun case markers, the adverbial phrase can technically appear anywhere in the sentence before the person, number, and tense particles, following, the sentence's primary verb. For example,
Ranham ahadis hu ang tikfuegwen.
In this sentence from the intro, the adverbial phrase ranham, long past, begins the sentence. Nice and simple. Things can get a lot more complicated though. Let's take, for instance, some non-finite phrases. Multiple circumstances can yield non-finite verbs or even full non-finite clauses in elemental sentences. In this language, it's easy to spot non-finite verbs in that the only thing that makes a verb finite is the presence of the subject and or object particles and tense particles. Without those, a verb can still be used in a sentence and can even have its own objects. Oh, Daryl's meowing. Well, looks like Daryl's coming in. It looks like he's coming in. Can't say no. Can't say no to that boy. Come on in, Daryl. Come on in. I know. Come on. You want to be on camera? You want to be on camera, little man? Oh God. Daryl, look, what have you done? What have you done, my child? And we're back. Look at him. Look at him go. Anyway, here the adverbial phrase kupoinama, before can be savior, begins the sentence. The subject of this phrase is absent, as it is, by necessity, the same subject as that of the main clause. The object here follows the verb, which in normal circumstances is illegal in this language. However, in non-finite phrases like these, the direct object of a non-finite verb is required to end the adverbial phrase. This rule actually goes across the board. If an adverbial phrase contains a noun, it should end with a noun. There are no markers because a noun in this situation is not ergative or absolutive, but some other third thing. If there's a prepositional phrase, that can follow the direct object and noun phrase, but with no case marker either. Essentially, within an adverbial phrase, the word order is VOI, with no subject permitted and an overall order nearly exactly opposite to the language's normal SOV order. Alright, I'm gonna let him go. He doesn't seem to care, but he's getting heavy. He's a little thick boy. Another interesting thing, there is no word for and. Essentially, if there are multiple noun phrases that occupy the same syntactic position, the markers do a good enough job separating them from one another that there is no need for an additional word for and.
Avatar dis shu gana shu ashir shweig fugdon.
Implicit nouns are a thing too. Thanks to the verb's required subject and or object particles, there are occasions where previously referenced subjects or objects can be omitted from a sentence to save time. Right? This sentence...
Bashao avatarwe avatar apoi fig fueg dai wen.
This sentence also has another important thing to mention in it that I haven't mentioned at all yet. Modal verbs and verb sets. When a modal verb and a verb set appears in this language, the modal verb takes the subject and object particles, then comes the primary verb, and then comes the tense particle. So it's all mixed together, right? You could see it in this same sentence here.
Bashao avatarwe avatar apoi fig fueg dai wen.
So hopefully now a lot more of this language makes sense. With all that out of the way, let's go through what you've surely all been waiting for. Some more snippets from the show in their true intended forms in the original language. So here we go.
Na ruktis eidak. Na me wishu hawi gwing nas fugdui. Fak besi air zusi air ongi na fig fugdui. Hawi we lime cook for shao jong hung na fig fugdui. Na, shua shura biak bimang shufugwen. Me widoi boy gang meng irian fig fudon. Yeah, the clips I chose for today are a little weirder just to get some more grammatical stuff in. Here's the next one. Nei de shui he for sha mo about shui doi don. Nei quan big fang af na bear tongue is I nice wing. Yeah, they really missed out not casting me for the role of Azula. Anyway. Nio zuko na shugdu. Me nai shui ek fam nai sug bwa byang duer. Da donifig shua zusha ting itself shufugdu. Sir Hodir big shui is zusha jin na shugdu. Janai shui nice one. Sangis Sakramo Schwa in shuk no when. Na Schwa Schur boss fam shuk fu doing. Me im shui Zeus yang na shudu. Fam ranham Schwa shu Zeus gigao shuk when. Me I shui di na shwen. Ma im shudog muhi shu team afnai timi tek fig fugdong. For shu shaum zusha for avatari vow. Jonna jogdana fig fugdu.
Right? You'll never be able to go back to that English dub. Am I right? Well, I need to move on with my other projects for a little while, but if there's enough persisting interest in this elemental language, I'd be willing to open it up to, I don't know, collaboration. Wouldn't it be crazy if there was like a full dub of the show in this horrific language? Just an idea, but that's pretty much all I've got for you today. Thanks so much to the Natrons and YouTube members who have joined in the past month or so. You really help keep our strange little organization running, including funding the hosting of the website and the Minecraft server, etc. Thanks so much to Haley for becoming my newest $10 Natron. You're a true hero. Additionally, I actually got like 5 new patrons in the past like couple of days, so that's pretty cool. I don't have them written down on here. Let me find them real quick. Yeah, there we go. Thanks so much to That Dutch Person, Haxed, Theta Cola, Pedro Pendemolde, A Float Bus, and Peaches.
And Ryder Pike. And Usurco. And Coconut is here, if I haven't mentioned you yet. And the new YouTube member, Imvolti. And Kevin Valant. I think that's everyone. If I miss someone, I'm sorry, I'll get you in the next one. It's just been so many freaking new patrons and members in the past, like, month or less. I mean, I wonder why. Probably circus? I don't know. Anyway.
Thanks to all of you for becoming patrons in the past like week or so. It's kind of insane. So you really are extremely helpful. Anyway, patrons get access to the secret Discord chat, access to the Minecraft server, in case sending 1,000 messages on the Discord server is too much for you, conlanging help, they provide memes for the green screen over here, and they can be judges in the cursed conlang circus judging. If they want, it's not like required, but you have the opportunity to judge in the circus judging. By the time this video comes out, judging has already begun. So this may be your last chance to join in on this year's judging session. But yeah, more stuff is coming. But the beautiful weather of the Arizona winter is calling me, both in that I'm an arborist and it's literally my job, and because I've been craving some good desert hiking. Oh yeah, and the holiday season also comes with its obligations, so new videos are coming soonish, but be patient with me, and catch me on Nugcraft in the meantime.
Also, remember to fill out the 2025 Conlanger Census. It'll be linked in the description in a card that I'll put on the top of the screen or whatever. But yep, it's Conlanger Census. Even if you don't make conlangs, if you're here, you can fill out the census, and it'll be open until January. All right, goodbye.
With that, I'll see y'all next time. Nga is